Hey there, Coach Patrick here, Endurance Nation, back with part two of my discussion on setting expectations properly for a great race across the course of a triathlon season. I am one of the two head coaches at Endurance Nation. We are home of the world's largest and fastest online triathlon team, creators of the 4 keys of race execution, and home of the first time finish guarantee. That's right, you train with us, you race your first long course race, and you don't finish that race for whatever reason, mechanical, nutritional, whatever it is, we will pay for your next race. We will literally pay to make sure you get that next race, and we trust our equipment, and we trust our training, we trust you so much we know it's going to work. We ran this guarantee for all of 2014. We had more than 500 athletes participate in the program, and we didn't pay a single dollar. Stand by that. All right, so in today's discussion, I'm going to give you some more insight about what it means to move beyond simply the numbers and talk a little bit more about setting expectations from a more descriptive or emotive standpoint. In the first video of this series, I talked a little bit about the overview, the 4-part process to setting expectations. And I also talked about starting with the end in mind, specifically defining your great race day, starting from a 3-minute sort of quick update description of what your race would look like, and then breaking that down by discipline to basically result with an understanding what that part of the race is going to look like, a critical mantra for you, an estimated time, and then the delta to where you are now. When you finish that first part, you've got those elements for all 3 disciplines. Now you're ready to move on to the second part of your training cycle, this expectation cycle, and that specifically is determining your training and focus windows. So now that you've gone ahead and picked your race and we've gone through describing it, it's important for you to determine the timeline from when you're going to start training to that race. Okay, and that window in and of itself is super important because some people aren't really honest with themselves about what it's like. It's very easy, again, for you and I to sit down over a couple beers and say, dude, I think you should be able to go under 6 hours for the bike this year. And you say, you know what, you're right, I deserve to, I'm gonna. But the reality, in getting from that decision to the point of being 6 hours faster on race day, very different. And there's a lot more that goes in between those 2 points other than just time and a bunch of training, which is the process we're going through now. And so in this situation, we're talking a little bit about the training and the focus windows. Okay, they are 2 separate things. From a training perspective, I'm really looking at just give me the total time. What's the time that we're going to be able to train? And then again, from the day that you plan on really start training, not just the day you sat down to do this, and then the day of your race. And then the focus window is when you are totally zoned in and really preparing for this race. The function of both of these windows essentially is the opportunity for you to define the preparation period and then the specific race execution prep period that's going to get you ready for your race. Now, for beginner triathletes in general, we recommend for a long course race about 9 to 12 months, kind of is a good time frame for you to do it. For people who are more experienced, you can go as low as 6 months in terms of a training window. But I want to be clear, a training window does not include another massive A race along the way. So let's say you and I are talking about preparing for a long course race in September. It's your big race, you're going to go to Madison, Wisconsin, you are super excited to go there, and it's January, so we're talking 9 months, but then you kind of let on that you're also doing 2 other half races, and you expect to PR both of those as well. Well, all of a sudden that training window is no longer 9 months. That training window is really to that first A race. And you need to be honest with that because it is incredibly difficult to effectively train across an entire year for multiple races and still have the performance that you want to have at the end of the day, despite everything else you've got going on. And we recommend that you focus really on that first event in the series. It can be a building block, but we don't just skip past it, okay? So if those other races are C or B races and you're just doing it to do it, that's one thing. You can include them. But if they are A races, or if you're doing, say, 2 long course races in a year, then the conversation shifts to that first race, and then we refocus again to that second race, okay? So first, the training window. This is essentially the time you have to train. It's just very straightforward. It's very simple. It's a function of time. And basically what we're looking for here is ideally a number of weeks that you have. Again, for beginner athletes, right, a minimum of 9, ideally 12 months sort of just total time to get ready. And for more experienced athletes, you can go as short as 6 months or 42 weeks, 24 weeks to prepare. Okay? Events within this training window are designed to be, complementary. You might do lots of century rides in training, or you might do a half marathon, or maybe some sort of open water swimming. They're complementary to your training and your overall sort of goals and fitness. And the bigger your deltas are in the first part of this series, when you came out with the deltas on your swim expectations versus where you are now, the bigger those numbers are, the bigger this training window needs to be. Big changes require time to make them. Unless something terrible happened last time that you will not do this time, like break a wheel in half, then you really have to invest the time and build the engine and build the durability and build the skills that are going to get you that 20 minutes, 30 minutes, 40 minutes. And so the bigger the goals, the more time you need to achieve them. And since we're still talking within the increment of a year, then the bigger the time frame is needed to achieve them. I'm not saying you need to go out and start hitting it tomorrow. We don't train you that way inside Endurance Nation at all. But if you're telling me that by September you want to be like an hour to an hour and a half faster than you were in last September, then we have to kind of get on that ball sooner rather than later in terms of your training. You can't just show up 3 months out and say, let's do it, let's make me awesome, because that's not how it works, basically. So that's your training window. Now, there's the focus window. This focus window concept is a little different. And again, as you move along the spectrum from sort of just wanting to finish to competing in a race, the focus window starts to grow in size while the training window sort of diminishes. So if you have a fixed period of time, 9 months, you might be training for 6 months, and then you got a focus period for 3 months. That's kind of a standard period inside Endurance Nation as well. We focus you for 12 weeks or 3 months across our race prep cycle into the big day. Now, for those of you who have higher goals, that focus window increases and it starts to overlap on the training time. So an example would be, I'm training for Ironman Texas in May, and my focus period in terms of from a physical training standpoint doesn't start until end of February. But it's January and I'm already focusing on my body composition because I know what my goals are, and I know that I simply can't juggle that many things across my final training period, including volume additions with the cold weather and the stuff I've got going on, volunteer side and with the kids, and my body composition, and Easter or whatever other crazy holidays are going to come up between now and my race, and try and thwart my food focus. And so I bring that focus period forward. I have to bring it out a bit, and that's simply a cost of doing business. With the higher my expectations are for myself, my relative performance, the broader that focus window needs to be. Okay. Again, the more experienced you are, the more you are able to have that focus window. So one of the biggest mistakes that beginner triathletes make is they say, I want to be awesome. I want to do my first big race, and I want to go under 12 hours because I just made that up, or my neighbor went that fast, or whatever. And I have 11 and a half months to go, so I'm going to start training tomorrow with 5,000 yards on the swim. And they start focusing in on that swim and that bike and that run. They're trying to juggle all three of them at the same time, and they still have 11 and a half months to go. And the net is about halfway to race day. They're done. Their body's exhausted. They're probably overtrained, probably have some sort of an injury. They're burned out, and they still have 6 months to go to the race. So that ability to focus for long periods of time is something you develop over time. It's a focus muscle, and the more experience you get, the longer the period is that you can focus. So me in my, good God, almost my 14th year. This is my 14th year of triathlon. My focus muscle, I'd probably put it at about 5 months. It's about what I can give it, and I feel like that's pretty much pushing the limits. So you as a beginner, really, you've got about 3 months, unless you bring some sort of crazy mental strength to the table, of which I have not seen before. There's no point in having you be outside of your mind for that long. Okay. The focus window is basically synonymous with our race preparation phase, and so everything that happens within inside this focus window is very race specific. So right now, as I'm doing my focus work and I'm focused on body composition, my nutrition is very race specific. I'm already eating and drinking like I will do on race day. Even though I'm 4 months out, I've already started to dial in that. And just like events that will happen in this period of time, those will also be race specific to my race. So I'm not just going to throw in a fun, mud run, lightning, dash/basket weaving contest with electrodes trying to shock me. about 3 weeks out from my big race. That's just not, it's not complementary to what I'm trying to achieve. So I'm not going to do that. That's something awesome to put afterwards when I'm super fit and I've got nothing to do and I'm going crazy. I'm all about that. But in terms of preparation to your race, that doesn't fit in my focus period because it's not complementary with what I'm trying to achieve on race day. Okay, and remember, this all goes back to those deltas from the first part. The bigger those deltas are, the more focused you need to be. And so what I'm really trying to get at for you is have you understand what it means to set a goal and understand the cost of that goal, and then put that goal and that measurement into your year. And so on a baseline example, 9 months of training, 6 months of basic training window, and 3 months of a focus window, so a 9-month window, 6 and 3. When we talk about having your goals, that's for baseline. I'm looking for average improvements. If you're looking to be awesome, pick up an hour somewhere else. All of a sudden, you're expanding that focus window out, and you're also probably expanding that training window out as well. And we go from the average 9 months to really no joke 9 months, not 9 months where you take a bunch of weeks off and so on, but a legit 9 months. And the bigger those goals get, even more so, then we start to adjust even more. And so it's important for you to realize that every time you add another element to your desired performance, you are actually expanding the amount of time required to train overall, your training window, and you're expanding the amount of time that you will need to be focused. And if I told you that, for example, just to make up a hypothetical, for every pound that you wanted to lose in the last 12 weeks to your race, you needed to work 1 week more of focused training, and you said, I'm at 10 pounds over right now, so I'm going to tell you that you've got to focus for an additional 10 weeks on top of your normal 12 weeks focus, that changes the conversation a little bit about what you're trying to achieve. It gets you in motion now instead of waiting until 12 weeks out and trying to figure out some sort of miracle crash diet. Okay, so there's no hard numbers here. I'm not going to give you a straight equation that says focus on this, weeks and deltas go like this. I just want you to have a conversation where you can write down on a piece of paper, hey, this is exactly what my training window is, and of this training window, here's the amount of time that I'm going to be focusing. Is it 6 and 9? Is it 4 and 4? Is it 5 and 3? Is it 3 and 5? Do you have some serious goals? Whatever it is, lay that out so you can honestly understand what it is that you're about to embark upon across the course of your year. I want to thank you for tuning in. My name is Coach Patrick from Endurance Nation, home of the world's fastest and largest online triathlon team. This is the end of part 2 of our setting expectations discussion. I'll be back in the next video, which is called Critical Performance Components, and helping you understand what are some baseline elements to long course performance, as well as some level 2 and level 3 elements. And they'll help you pick and choose, basically, as you go across the spectrum, as you become more and more serious. What are the elements you want to focus on, when you want to focus on them, and we'll get you en route to laying out that awesome year. Thanks again for tuning in. I hope you enjoyed it. Hope you share it with your friends. I'll see you guys online soon or at the races.